I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach.
So wait. Did y'all hear that? This video is brought to you by Extreme Tees. Click on the link below. Make sure you put Kevin in the promo code and you'll get a 20% discount. Are you happily putting your whole life savings on the stock market right now, in spite of the dangers? Well, if you've been thinking about investing safer so you can retire comfortably and sleep at night, you could do worse than talk to a Noble Gold expert about the tax advantages and other pluses of precious metal IRAs. I don't know, maybe you just love uncertainty. But if you don't, you can get yourself a free American The Beautiful solid silver 5-ounce coin with any qualifying plan you start. All you got to do is just call me if you need some Noble Gold at 877-646-5347, or you can visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That is noblegoldinvestments.com. Now let's get to this video. Well, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And did y'all hear that? That man who's just up there talking reckless and saying, well, I don't think the parents should be telling teachers what to teach, just took a loss, y'all, in Virginia. Now, not only did he take a loss, but all of the Democrat Party took a loss, because, see, they lost on their home field. They lost up in Virginia, where it's mostly liberal, where creepy, sleepy, sleazy, slimy, sloppy Joe won by a whole bunch of points. But for some reason, it took a turn for the worse this time. And they can't understand it, y'all. So we better go ahead and do an analysis, a play-by-play, go back through the time, frame, and see how we got to this point. And then hopefully we can figure out what went wrong and how the Democrats could learn from what happened. Not only them, but the funky, crooked, stinking, dirty, nasty, corrupt liberal media too. So let's get into it.
But now Attorney General Merrick Garland has taken an extraordinary step of directing the FBI to monitor these debates, determining, according to his dictates, which protests cross the line from debate to, quote, intimidation and harassment. So what's going on? And clearly a one-sided attack to shut down a very powerful and growing political movement opposed to radicalizing our children's education.
Well, we better look into this a little closer, y'all. For the FBI to get involved, man, it must be real bad. So, yeah, I can see, apparently whatever these parents were doing ruffled some feathers. And now the feds are involved. So let's see if we can gather some data, because see, we don't want to spread fake news and come across some conclusions that aren't real, and and just inflate some of this stuff to make it seem like it was a problem, because when you bring the feds in, it must be serious. So let's check it out.
In March, my child had to watch a TED Talk in English class, not on anything related to English, but rather oppression and acknowledging privilege. Any parent with a pulse knows that this is wrong.
Yeah.
Why has public school become so mired in extremist politics and a permissive culture that seems to celebrate the latest popular fads like gender fluidity?
And we oppose your efforts to impose critical race theory, an overtly racist doctrine that teaches our children to judge and categorize others based solely on the color of their skin.
That ain't right.
Their job is to teach our kids math, science, biology, literature, and that's it. Not ideology.
Wait a minute, hold up. So how did that white nationalist sneak in, huh? You ain't fooling me just because you look like a foreigner. Just because you look like you might be Hispanic or maybe Lebanese or something like that. You ain't fooling me. So they done slid in a white nationalist just because that man looks like he's from some other country. Yeah, what he did is mastered that accent, took off work to come down there and yell at the board for no reason. All of these parents did this for no reason. They were all minding their business, going to work, and all collectively decided, we should all take off work. Even though everything is going just perfect down at the school, we haven't heard anything. We're happy with the school. We don't know anything about what they're teaching. And we just decided to go down there and express all of our anger towards the board and all of our white nationalism. That's what we're doing. And this guy got the nerve to try to cover his up by pretending he's from some other country. Because surely only people that would be mad over this stuff are white nationalists. But let's continue, see if we can sniff out some more white nationalism, because you know racism is the #1 problem in America. Let's see.
I equally dislike all of you. You all equally done a really bad job. And maybe it's a good time to change something. Maybe start right now.
Ziegler should be immediately terminated for this travesty of leadership. Let's go, Brandon.
You guys are the disgrace.
Oh, there he is.
You guys are the pedophiles. You guys are playing to the hand of the pedophile. I'll keep repeating. I am your master. You are the servants.
Somebody get that white nationalist out of there and rip off his mask. Got the nerve to be coming up in there looking like a man of color.
We put you guys in those chairs.
This school board has consistently withheld information, lied to the public, injected critical race theory into the curriculum, and then had the audacity to lie about it, failed to report sexual assaults per the law, failed to release declining enrollment numbers to the public. What protections are in place to make sure that sexual assaults aren't happening in our bathrooms? You have single-handedly woken an entire county, a nation of parents who weren't paying attention before, including me. We're awake now and we won't stop.
How stupid do you think we are? You're already in the government capacity telling us that you care more about our children than we do.
Not a good look.
Absolutely false. It's ridiculous.
If you can make a child stay home because they refuse to wear a mask, you can also make a child stay home for raping another student.
And I couldn't help but notice the rules for this meeting, which state there will be no public access to bathrooms or other facilities inside the LCPS administrative offices. I guess you wanted to make absolutely certain that your restrooms were safe.
Oh my goodness. So wait a minute. So word on the street is that this district, you know, for whatever reason, they didn't alert the parents about a rape that took place in the bathroom by a young man dressed like a woman and given access to the women's bathrooms. So maybe they didn't want this all to come out, because then it might look bad on their agenda to push, you know, this transgender agenda. And then it finally came out, and for some reason these parents are upset. For some reason, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why they would be upset about this. But yeah, they're pretty livid. And so to the point where the school board decided they're going to call to the White House and get the FBI involved, y'all. Now, what the heck? What's wrong with these parents, huh? Don't they have respect for folks that will allow their kids to get raped in the bathroom and be taught how to hate each other and how to feel like you know you're behind the 8 ball and will never amount to anything? Yeah, what's wrong with these parents? All of these fascists. Let's continue hearing from all of these systemically racist white nationalists that's only doing this because they're trying to protect their status of a white person in America.
You want us labeled as domestic terrorists simply because of our interest in our kids' education? What kind of parents would we be if we weren't involved in our kids' education?
Incompetent ones.
If my kids' care was entrusted to you, I would probably be suicidal.
Here we are again at Groundhog Day. More scandals and more frustrated parents.
Yeah, keep staring at me, because this war is not over.
You think it is a trumped-up culture war. You think we are divisive and hostile because we stand up for our children.
We will not be silent. We are the protectors of our children, and we outright refuse to co-parent with you.
My name is Michael Rivera, and I am submitting my qualifications to fill Beth Bart's empty board seat.
I refuse to allow you to destroy our schools. They are not your schools, they are our schools. You all should be ashamed, and you should have the moral courage to admit you are wrong and step down.
Most alarming, this past spring, my daughter was cast in a play, which was to be performed in front of our community, where 4 adults met up to have group sex.
What? Now you got my attention. See, for a second I was upset because of the white nationalism and all of that stuff. But now, you got kids that's in plays performing things where there's supposed to be 4 adults having sex or something or merchicker. What's going on here? See, now we're going beyond education. See, now we're getting kinky and freaky. See, now these adults, for whatever reason, whether they know they're doing it or not, maybe they're motivated by demons, which most likely they are. But to think that you can insert any of this into education is beyond me. So I'm starting to get the picture here. No wonder the feds are getting involved. Not because of these parents harassing them or these parents threatening them and all of that stuff, but because these parents are exposing them and giving them a verbal lashing right here on TV, and they don't like it. It's slowing up their agenda, which is also the agenda of the White House and the DOJ. Thus, the DOJ sends down this memo threatening the parents, hoping that it will make them be quiet and be scared to come in and expose what kind of freakiness is going on in the schools. Now I'm getting it. I'm getting red pilled by these parents. And here I am thinking it was all because they were just white folks. Let's continue.
You're going to play the game, we'll play it better. And we're going to win. We're going to make sure the school system crumbles. We're going to take our kids out. We're going to defund the schools.
Saying, let's go Brandon? No, we should change it to, let's go Brenda.
Is anyone on this board concerned about the safety of our children?
Good question.
If not, resign.
Never did I imagine that I would have to have a discussion with them about not using the bathroom tools. We encourage them to hold it until they get home. That's sad.
I'm starting to
Excuse me,
empathize
can you
with
look
the
this way?
parents.
Excuse me. Hello, school board. You're looking down. This is the respect that you show the people who you work for.
I'm over here.
You work for us. You're fired.
I have 3 children in this
You're fired.
district, okay? My oldest goes with her friends and they do buddy trips to the bathroom. This is what you have caused.
Like my friend, these high school students will forever suffer the effects of these crimes, and each one of you are to blame. Resign now. Disgusted with all of you.
Me too.
You don't have the respect to even look us in the eye when we're here talking. You keep us outside in the cold. You're worthless. Ziegler, I've seen you lie in court. I've seen you lie here. Your job is on the line. Somewhere there's a village missing an idiot. Maybe you should go there and apply.
Do everyone a favor in Loudoun County and resign. Remember, it could be your child next.
You guys are incompetent, you're criminally negligent, and you need to do everyone a favor and resign. All of you, resign. Just do it.
And by the way, it's freezing outside and there are small children out there because you can't handle it. Shame on all of you.
Here's the message. The truth will come out, justice will prevail, and we will see you in court.
Oh, see? Now I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Those school board members were getting slapped around the whole time. They were getting jumped by those parents. They didn't think those parents would figure it out. They wouldn't get wind of what they've been trying to teach these kids under the radar. And now that they found out, these school board members can't take it. So now they got to call Big Brother. And they keep picking on us. Well, what are they doing? Just saying bad things. Well, let's see how we can package that up. Let's say they're threatening you. Let's say that they're violent. And let's say that they are maybe, let's see what's a good word, potential terrorists. Yeah. Let's see if that works. Oh, wait. Here's more because, see, the media, you know, they also jumped in prematurely. Now, understand, this is all going to tie in because we have to do our research to figure out what went wrong in Virginia concerning this vote that just took place, this election. So here's the media prior to the election. Here we go.
To play some more sound of these school board meetings so we can get a sense of just how out of control some of them are getting.
Don't put masks on our kids anymore, because I'm telling you what, I'm a mom who's fearless, and I will come after you.
You're allowing child abuse. You're allowing child abuse. You're allowing child abuse. You're allowing child abuse. So Frank, things have become so scary at these meetings that the organization representing school boards across the country is asking the federal government to help, arguing that the classification of these actions could be the equivalent to a form of domestic terrorism.
It's just one county, and how have these school board fights become this big part of now a campaign across the state? I mean, that's extraordinary, right? These culture wars are often wrapped up in getting people fired up over things that aren't even major issues.
I guess the media agrees with Barack Obama that rape at school by a dude in a skirt is an issue that they just don't have time for.
We don't have time to be wasting on these phony, trumped-up culture wars. This fake outrage.
Now, Youngkin does seem very comfortable with this narrative. When you go to his rallies, I've been to many, it's filled with parents and grandparents animated by this Parents Matter message.
Version of America where school board meetings have become the new culture war battlegrounds, with children caught in the crosshairs, sometimes literally and sometimes figuratively.
Right now, everyone from the Proud Boys to the Oath Keepers to QAnon influencers are trying to encourage their members, their followers, their maniacs to show up at school board hearings Sunday.
Now, see, there we go. It apparently, now, you know what? I ain't going to judge the media right now because this is pre-election. So what that man right there and the rest of these idiots are trying to suggest is that these parents, for some reason, who got lots of things to take care of, they got kids and work and all of that stuff, but somehow they're all connected to the Proud Boys. Do all of those people that we just listened to appear to be people who are involved with the Proud Boys? Huh? I mean, you are talking about Virginia, where most of them are probably liberal. But for some reason, if we could just make some phony accusation that they're being inspired by the Proud Boys or QAnon, and I guarantee you, if you ask most of those parents, who is QAnon? Who? I don't know. Proud Boys? Oh, well, yes, I'm proud of my boy. That's what you would get. But yet, these folks have no other way to demonize these parents except for calling them terrorists, throwing them in that category, doing things like saying they're involved in conspiracy theories. This right here is a Marxist tactic right here. See, so I'm starting to understand how this all unfolded, because it appears that the media is not on the side of the people, but instead they're on the side of the party. Oh, I think I'm solving this. Yeah, I had to put my Columbo eye on. Tell me again, as the media, what's your purpose again? See, my Columbo eye. Let's continue.
Behavior is so bad, it's being compared to domestic terrorism.
This becomes a security crisis, in a sense, for the nation.
How one Republican senator is pretending school board harassment and intimidation aren't off the charts.
Similar tactics to what happened on January 6th that now are being turned against school boards nationwide in a trend that's really disturbing and sinister.
Conservatives manufactured outrage over masks and history lessons, took our school boards hostage like a bunch of screaming maniacs.
Really about people being upset about mask mandates? Or are there sort of underlying disruptive forces, white nationalists, anarchists, whatever in this country, that are using mask mandates and a public health crisis to sort of wage chaos?
Get that moron off television. That's hurting the country. I mean, come on now.
See, now there you go. Tucker, I mean, he said it perfectly. So if I'm understanding this correctly, the preemptive strike to quiet those parents down and to demonize them and to run PR for the school board, which is in bed with the Democrat Party, along with the liberal media, is to come out and call these parents the most horrific things that you can call them and put them in a category of gang members, terrorists, insurrectionists, QAnon, all of that, hoping that that might just silence them. But see, what they didn't calculate in their evil, diabolical scheme is folks don't back down when it's their kids. See, maybe if it's just their reputation, that's one thing. But they came after the kids and tried to pretend like these parents are just overreacting and have absolutely no reason to come down there and get upset. So now let's try to update this and get to what's going on now, because apparently their guy lost. And I wonder how.
The announcement that Joe Biden will not be happy to hear. And it also shows how incredibly divided this country is.
I think it's also about the issues. I mean, when you're down in Virginia, they are so worried about what's happening in their schools. I think this was a referendum on Biden and on the progressive movement and on CRT. I think that all these suburban parents are speaking out. They're getting involved for the first time. These are parents that never really were involved in school board issues, not involved in politics at all. And they might have voted one party or the other based on their families. But this was about the issue.
As a person who never involved in...
Now look at this Asian lady pretending that she is an Asian lady, but really she's nothing more than a suburban white nationalist mother. So this Asian looking Karen got the nerve to be on here trying to fake that accent and pretend like she voted for this other guy, whatever his name is, Youngkin, and all that mess. Because of what? Oh, because she's a white nationalist. That's what it is. She's trying to protect her white nationalism. Let's continue.
Political campaign. I worked so hard for Youngkin's campaign yesterday. I stood in cold rain for 9 hours handing out ballots. I did it because I believe in Youngkin.
I thought she was going to say she did it because she believed in white nationalism. And racism.
I'm sorry. It's okay. To me, this race between Youngkin and McAuliffe is a race between American ideal and Marxist ideology.
This was a referendum on parents, and this entire ridiculous woke ideology that has swept into our school systems. I am immigrant, Muslim, liberal Democrat, and I voted for Glenn Youngkin because Glenn Youngkin actually did something that so many politicians and policymakers have done, and that is honored parents.
Quite understandably, the establishment media, when it was very clear the Republican in the fleece vest was going to win, well, did they like it? You be the judge.
Let's see. Here's the moment, guys. Let's see if they learned anything. What's their takeaway from all of this? Now, we done saw the montage of them with the preemptive strike, and the results of that was the parents rejected this. They rejected the DOJ's threats. They rejected the demonization from them. Now, let's see if these knuckleheads have learned that by calling Americans racist, white nationalists, all of these things you can call them, is going to work. See, maybe they don't realize that's not a proper way to motivate folks. Maybe you should listen to them and find out what's their concerns. But if you're so caught up with prostituting yourself for whatever party you're working for, that you can't understand why parents would be mad over the things I'm about to let y'all hear in a second. See, because after we hear their assessment of why they lost, then we're going to go ahead and test their theory. Okay, so let's get it, man, and see what they learned.
As we discussed yesterday, it was immediately decided that the voters in Virginia are all racist.
Of course.
Which is why they voted against the white man, Terry McAuliffe, and for the black female lieutenant governor, Winsome Sears. You know, racism is funny that way, apparently.
When this election's over in Virginia, we will know, have we seen the emergence of the Delta variant of Trumpism? Same disease, but spreads a lot faster and can get a lot more places.
The exit polls showed that which was interesting, that the coronavirus, or that the virus, it was a very
low
not importance to many of the voters there. It was education, which is code for white parents don't like the idea of teaching about race.
He flew an insurrection flag at his rallies. He played dumb about a Zoom rally. He did not really put much distance between himself and Donald Trump on the big lie or the deadly insurrection.
It appears that the same teachers that's teaching in Virginia taught all of these folks in the media right here. Because, see, they ain't learned nothing. They have learned not one thing. A hard head make a soft butt. Neither have the Democrats. They've been pulling this mess for years. Look, calling someone a racist, white nationalist, xenophobe, homophobe, all of these definitions, terms, those aren't policies, guys. Those right there can't be substituted for good policies. Okay, so instead of using all of this identity politics, why don't you use some policies? But no, they think that demonization and name calling will make all of these folks come back to their party and feel good about voting for them. Shaming them into doing it, scaring them into doing it, threatening them into doing it, demonizing them into doing it. All of those are great tactics to motivate folks to support you, right? Ain't learned nothing, man.
Let's be honest, here's the thing. All those takes are like searching the edges while refusing to see what's staring right back at you. And I can assure you, black voters in Virginia are not shocked by the so-called Youngkin shocker. This isn't about enthusiasm. This isn't about Democrats not doing enough to exercise their base. And this definitely is not about messaging or even about
Tell us, so wise one, what is it about?
This is about the fact that a good chunk of voters out there are okay with white supremacy. Let's call a thing a thing.
Was all of this, talking about critical race theory and representing it as if it was happening in elementary school, which of course is not even being taught there. But it's not. There were a lot of these hot button cultural issues, I think, that Youngkin was really able to use to his advantage. I don't think that that's right, because I think it was misrepresented. But this is now, I think, also the Republican playbook is to use these issues to scare people, basically.
Y'all hear that? So wait a minute. So we're the ones doing all the scaring? We're the ones that saying white nationalism is the greatest threat to America and white extremism is the greatest threat. And we're the ones running around saying that January 6th was an insurrection, even though nobody was charged for insurrection, or nobody was declared a domestic terrorist. But we're the ones that's pumping the minds of all these people about domestic terrorism and the rise of extremism and stuff like that. We're the ones doing that, right? We're the ones that are just coming up with these narratives for no reason, right? So let me understand this, guys. These fights that these parents are in, and I mean that metaphorically, these culture wars that these folks are claiming is put forth by the Republicans. We started that? I don't recall us bringing up transgender bathrooms. I don't recall us starting to try to push transgenderism into the schools and all of those things. I don't recall us starting to attack folks that simply want to, pledge allegiance to the flag or believe what they want to believe religiously. I don't remember it was us. We responded to them trying to attack certain cultural beliefs that we all hold true, but yet we didn't bring that up. So what are you looking at here, Kev? Projection, perhaps? Let's continue.
Basically, a feeling out of control, that everything's out of control with their children and they need to be protected from these people with this demagogues and this agenda, right?
Yeah, let's be clear. Some of it was dog whistle.
Yeah.
Right? Some of it was dog whistle racism.
1000%.
But Youngkin played the race card for a reason because he knows it works on certain white voters.
He did stoke white grievance politics to mobilize a Republican base.
He's laundered Trump's really sort of disgusting, flagrant out racism. He's wrapped it in education.
Education, which is code for white parents don't like the idea of teaching about race.
That's the fundamental problem for these parents and this anti-CRT movement. They don't like the way whiteness is being portrayed in these new, more inclusive lessons.
This wasn't about those pocketbook issues. This was about how white kids feel talking about what black kids go through.
The subtext of all this was, we can't let these black and brown people run the country.
Glenn Youngkin running on critical race theory that he knew hit a chord around race.
I think all the CRT stuff is trumped up dog whistling.
Some of it was dog whistle racism.
The dog whistle messaging that you saw Youngkin engage in during the course of the campaign.
That's all that was, y'all. It's just nothing but dog whistle racism and stuff like that. So you're telling me these folks have not learned anything from this experience? So first things first, leading up to the election, they're calling everybody overreaction. They're coming in here mad for nothing. They're all racist. They're trying to protect their whiteism and their status in society, even though all those folks were not all white. In fact, they probably never showed any of the clips of all those black parents coming in opposing this either. But somehow, because they're paid to come out and push propaganda, they demonize all these parents, and it backfired. So then, instead of saying, you know what, oops, we made a mistake, we probably went too heavy on the racism, the domestic terrorism, and all the other isms. No. Now they come with some more isms. See, so add isms on top of isms, and you get a whole bunch of isms. But we better test their theory because, see, guys, according to them, all of these white nationalists in Virginia decided for some reason this would be a great time, even though they had been voting for other white folks for all those years and voting for all of these liberal leaders. They decided, guys, this is the moment we all been waiting for. Activate our white nationalist gene, switch it on. So now, instead of voting for one white candidate, we're going to vote for another white candidate. Not based on the fact whether one is black or white. They're both white. But we're going to base this on what? Because if you got two white candidates, that only leaves the ideas and policies to vote on. So it's not racism. Plus, when they voted for this white candidate also had a black woman on the ticket. Now, how in the world did this black woman slide through all of those white nationalists voting for Youngkin? Let's see, because I think she's black. I'm pretty sure. Let's listen.
Neighborhoods, safer communities, and our children are going to get a good education.
So she's talking like a normal person, y'all. Like a normal American that loves their family and their community and country.
Because education lifted my father out of poverty. Education lifted me out of poverty.
Hold up.
Education will lift us all out of poverty because we must have marketable skills so that our children can not just survive, but they will thrive.
Black lady, no. See, because according to Van Jones and according to Joy Reidless and according to all of them and that Black Lives Matter, you can't be saying that. You can't be saying you can be successful as a black person. You supposed to get up there and come up to that mic talking about some rocket my soul in the bosom of Abraham, swing I will be done. That's what I'm expecting her to get up there and say. I'm expecting her to get up there and say that the white man got her down because she brown. Got their foot on her back because she's black. That's what I'm expecting to hear. She is talking about we can overcome. Huh. So you're making me start to think that it's not all about racism.
And they will create generational wealth. That's what this is about.
Making me feel like a black man like me can do it. Joe told me I couldn't do nothing, but
I'm going to finish up. We love you too.
You know, like National's telling this black lady that they love her.
It's a historic night. Yes, it is, but I didn't run to make history. I just wanted to leave it better than I found it.
And, you know, I'm black. If you haven't noticed, I think were your words. And then you said, but it's not about that. What did you mean by that?
Because we are framing too many issues in terms of race, and it just continues to divide us. And unfortunately, politicians are using it as a tool because of the things that have happened to us historically to advance, I would think, their nefarious purposes.
Now, wait a minute, lady. Because, see, I just heard from MSNBC, CNN, all these other commentators that the culture war was started by us conservatives. And that we were the one bringing race into the conversation and using it, dividing people and all that stuff. We were the one bringing up these issues. And I just heard from all of them that these systemically racist parents that just found out that they were racist decided that they're going to come down and start picking these arguments with the board members solely because they're trying to protect their whiteness and don't want their kids to be taught about diversity and stuff. So, who should I believe? Who seems more sincere? Her or this whole montage of clowns that we just listened to? Let's continue.
And so if we stop just looking at race and just looking at people, because you see, I'm destroying all the narratives about race.
You know, here's what Joy Reid said last night, and I want to just get a quick response from you, if I can, over on MSNBC about the Youngkin win and your win. Watch this.
You have to be willing to vocalize that these Republicans are dangerous, that this isn't a party that's just another political party that disagrees with us on tax policy, that at this point, they're dangerous. They're dangerous to our national security because stoking that kind of soft white nationalism eventually leads to the hardcore stuff.
There you go. Stoking that type of white nationalism eventually leads to the hardcore stuff. What are you inferring, Joyless? Are you saying then that parents being upset that their kids are being taught about racism, not in a good way? Meaning calling white folks racist and calling black folks pretty much still in slavery is stoking what? White nationalism? Who is bringing up these topics in these narratives? Who's dividing the country? So now we got a black lady who just won in a liberal state, voted in by white people, same white people that voted for the other guy. And yet Joy is talking about stoking white racism and nationalism, and it could lead to some type of violence. So let's see this highly educated, newly voted in, powerful, intelligent black woman's response to Joyless Reid.
Your reaction to that?
I wish Joy Reid would invite me on her show. Let's see if she's woman enough to do that. I'd go in a heartbeat and we have a real discussion without Joy speaking about me behind my back, if you will. She talks about white supremacy. Does she know that I ran against a white supremacist? I mean, Joy, come on, get your facts straight and then come talk to me.
Are in the making here. We're going to be seeing a lot more from Winsome Sears, who again is beloved by the white supremacists in the audience, cheering, shouting they love her.
I think we know the answer to some of this. I watched Glenn Youngkin's interviews on Fox News, and he did nothing that he did not.
So they're explaining to us why he lost.
He worshipped at the altar of Donald Trump on Fox News.
That's right.
He flew an insurrection flag at his rallies. He simply didn't. He played dumb about a Zoom rally.
Okay, so because somebody, if you get a chance in the notes or something, maybe you could send me a picture of the insurrection flag, because I don't know where that's at. I mean, can you Google it? Is it a thing, or is she just making it up? She's probably talking about the American flag, because see, the real Marxist insurrectionists are. We're looking at them right here. So show me the insurrection flag when you find it. Let's continue.
He did not really put much distance between himself and Donald Trump on the big lie or the deadly insurrection in which police officers were maimed by flagpoles. So I think that the real ominous thing is that critical race theory, which isn't real,
Wipe that smirk off your face, you jackass.
turned the suburbs 15 points to the Trump insurrection endorsed Republican. What do Democrats do about that?
Well, let's see. Let's test their theory, because we just heard Nicole Wallace, along with many of these other paid activists / operatives, give us a whole bunch of lip service about how folks are overreacting, critical race theory isn't being taught, it's only motivated by, anger towards, black folks and trying to protect your status as a white nationalist. So now we're going to go ahead and test all of their statements and theories to see what holds up under scrutiny. Starting off with the great one.
There's more Democrats and then added with independents in Virginia than there are Republicans. That's a fact. But all these parents, they're so stupid. They're coming to these school board meetings on their own time, putting their names and their reputations on the line, challenging what's in the books, what their kids are being taught. And Joe Scarborough, sitting on his fat ass in Jupiter, Florida, is telling everybody, oh, this is a Republican thing. And my understanding is it isn't even being taught in the state of Virginia. He takes no time whatsoever to look. I live in the state of Virginia. It's being taught in the state of Virginia. It's being taught in the state of New Jersey. It's being taught in virtually every state in the union, in virtually every classroom in the union. How hard is it for MSNBC, NBC News, to find some investigative reporters to dig this up? If Christopher Rufo can do it on his own, as well as other people like me, why is it so difficult for these multi-billion-dollar corporate media outlets to do it? Why? Because they're liars. That's why. Go.
The big issue. Republicans staying one step ahead of the Democratic Party, and they're still fighting by Marcus of Queensberry rules and getting pushed all over the board.
The Democrats are being pushed all over the board? Poor Joe. That bulbous nose must represent some kind of behavior in the past. I don't know.
Let's start there. Critical race theory not taught in Virginia schools.
And you, clown, are a liar. Ladies and gentlemen, so I just took a 30-second break. I went on my iPhone.
Here we go.
And here's Christopher Rufo. Ready? So you heard what these two fools said. In 2015, then Governor McAuliffe's Department of Education instructed Virginia public schools to, quote, embrace critical race theory, unquote, in order to, quote, re-engineer attitudes and belief systems, unquote.
Critical race theory, which isn't real.
They explicitly endorse CRT. He can't wiggle out of this one with word games.
Critical race theory, which isn't real.
And he provides the graphics right under his post. He goes on. Under the Northam administration, Democrat, blackface, Klan outfit, Superintendent of Public Instruction James Lane sent a memo to Virginia public schools endorsing, quote, foundations of critical race theory in education, unquote, calling it an important analytic tool and that can further spur development in education. Again, he provides a copy of the memo.
Critical race theory, which isn't real.
A copy of the memo. Right now on its website, he writes, the Virginia Department of Education recommends, quote, critical race theory in education, unquote, as a best practice and derives its definitions of racism, and he quotes, white supremacy and education equity explicitly from critical race theory.
Critical race theory, which isn't real.
At the district level, he says, Loudoun County Schools has hired a consulting firm to implement critical race theory and developed a high school class explicitly teaching, quote, critical race theory. Even the district superintendent admitted the curricula, quote, aligned with the ideology of critical race theory.
Now, I'm a little concerned because, see, if I was in a courtroom, I would be saying, okay, I hear one person just saying something, but then this other person is presenting actual facts, data, proof, evidence, all of that. But see, the evidence don't just stop with these documents that they're talking about and typing on and leaving on the internets and all of these receipts versus Nicole Wallace and the rest of these propagandists that are just simply telling us that it's not a real thing. Just like Joe Biden told us, Antifa is not a real organization. It's an idea that attacks people and burn down buildings. See, so we're supposed to just believe them instead of our lying eyes. But it looks like their whole narrative is being unraveled by Mark. But it's not going to stop with just him showing these documents and all of these statements and stuff like that. Okay, because we got something else coming up to really go ahead and convince the jury of what's really going on.
Critical race theory, which isn't real.
Again, if you were watching CBS News the other day, you would have been lied to. If you were watching MSNBC this morning,
Critical race theory, which isn't real.
you were lied to.
Yeah, we were.
Now, why do they keep lying about this?
Good question.
Why do they keep lying about this? Because they're trying to paint parents as racist, not just Republican Party. Look, all whites aren't Republican. I mean, again, the fact that Youngkin is leading in some of these polls or tied in some of these polls shows you that it's not just Republicans. But that's the narrative. That's the scenario. Wipe that smirk off your face, you jackass, Joe Scarborough. Go ahead.
Joe.
And the video clip is really funny and can be found on Twitter if you want to go find it. But it does show that Republicans are good. It's dishonest. It's not a good faith argument, but they are talented at branding. They're talented at making an election about certain issues, even if they don't have any basis in reality. And those issues, in this case, critical race theory, propagated over and over and over.
See what a liar they are?
Yes, I do, Mark. I'm starting to see it.
Propagated over and over and over and over again. No, it's propagated over and over and over again because it's occurring over and over and over again. You had parents showing up at these different school board meetings, and not just in Loudoun County, Virginia, talking about what their children are being taught in the classroom.
And they're making
are we
that all
supposed
up?
to believe the parents of these children? The children come home, the textbooks come home, the parents were watching, 2 years ago or so? Or are we going to believe these people who are just pushing propaganda? They're the same people who pushed Russia collusion.
So wait, Mark, as we're sitting in this courtroom, you now are introducing some other things into the argument that makes a lot of sense. See? So now I'm starting to say, now wait a minute. You bring up some good points, Mark, because they don't have a good track record right now. You're exposing their character, okay? They have lied about quite a bit of stuff. Continue, Mark. I'm starting to feel you.
On and on and on. The same people who pushed that Donald Trump is going to be indicted over Stormy Daniels or some such nonsense.
I did say that.
The same people who put Michael Avenatti on time and time and time again.
And
The
he's now
same
in
people
jail.
who are relying on Mueller to come up with a report that condemned Trump over Russia.
And nothing came
The
out.
same people who were the recipients of leaks from the FBI, intelligence agencies, the Department of Justice,
So it
the
sounds
Hillary
like they're
campaign,
corrupt.
and ran with them. The same people who covered up the Hunter Biden scandal before the election. The same people who covered up the name of the phony whistleblower
And now we're
that they
supposed
used
to
in the
believe
Ukraine case. And I could go on and on and on. This is what they do. These are them. And I just showed you, and there'll be parents galore that would tell you, yes, they're being taught critical race
It appears
theory.
they are.
But the Democrats and the media, one and the same, can't make up their minds.
True.
Well, are they being taught critical race theory?
Okay.
On the one hand, they say no. On the other hand, they say, so what? Don't you want to teach about slavery?
Yeah.
Critical race theory isn't teaching about slavery.
It's not.
American history teaches about slavery.
Okay.
It's pushing Marxism.
Oh, snap. So Mark done found out they pushing Marxism. And I ain't talking about his type of Marxism, because his Marxism is revealing their Marxism. See, that's what's just happening right there. But you know what, though? You know what? I don't want it to just be Mark's word against the corrupt, funky, stinking, dirty liberal media. And apparently they haven't learned from their lesson. So we better go ahead and take theory and put it into practice. Let's go ahead and see if there's some, validity to these parents' concerns.
For days now, I have been viciously attacked because of a clip video where I talk about removing the sexualization of children from the classrooms in our public education system. Of course, the media and those on the left have tried to change the focus from education to the LGBTQ community, specifically that I hate them.
Oh, God.
Let me be clear. I will fight for and protect the rights of all citizens, including those in the LGBTQ community, to express themselves however they want.
Yeah.
That is their right as Americans, and I don't think that government has any role in telling them otherwise.
Word.
However, the idea that our children should be taught about concepts of transgenderism and be exposed to sexually explicit materials in the classroom is abhorrent.
Where's your proof, bro?
Earlier in the year, my office released a report about indoctrination in public schools.
Okay.
In it, there was reference to a book titled George that a parent found in their child's school.
Never heard of that.
The book is recommended for elementary school students.
Little ones.
The main character is a biological boy in elementary school who wants to remove his genitals so he can become a girl.
What?
This book is not the only example. In Lawn Boy, there is sexually explicit content, including an animal performing sexual favors on a human. Unfortunately, there's more. The images you are about to see are from a book that is currently in North Carolina schools.
Wait a minute. before we even get into that, did you hear what that man just described? Now, understand, y'all, we just heard the media telling us stuff like critical race theory isn't real and these teachers aren't. And we heard the man from Virginia who just got his butt beat say that the parents shouldn't be telling teachers what to teach. Now, this man down in North Carolina, I think it's North, he, even though he's black, is also being attacked and also being demonized because it has nothing to do with being black or white or a woman or male. It's all about you opposing their agenda. And he opposes one of the biggest agendas, the LGBTQ/back/semicolon ... group and the transgender group. So these parents obviously shouldn't be mad about this, especially if what this man is just describing about animals and books performing sexual acts. Why would a parent be upset about that? I mean, all they're being is racist because they're upset that they found that book in their kid's backpack or whatever. So now this guy is going to go one step further on our case right here, and he's going to show us some things that are in these books for kids. Now, before he show you all this, I want to also let you know these are some pretty explicit pictures for kids. But if they can show these to the kids, then surely why would YouTube be upset that they're being shown on my video? Let's see what they have for our kids, y'all.
It's called Gender Queer.
Gender Queer.
I want to warn you that the pictures you are about to see are explicit.
I'm ready. Let me
I hate to put these in a video, but I feel it's necessary to show you exactly what I'm referring to.
Okay, here we go.
Now, as you look at these photos, I challenge you to describe them as anything other than filth. These materials do not belong in public schools. For those who are calling on me to resign, for those who are saying that I don't represent North Carolina values, let me ask you something. Does forcing these on children represent your values?
No.
Do you really believe that these images should be shown in the classroom? This whole thing has been an attempt to once again change the argument and silence voices on the right.
No wonder.
Well, let me tell you plainly, right here and right now, I will not back down. I will not be silent, and I will not be bullied into submission.
It's funny how they are so afraid of their children seeing another view of sexuality, gender, or religion. If you want to talk about books that are assigned, let's read To Kill a Mockingbird together. If you aren't willing to consider the racial trauma this assigned book causes black children with its white saviorism, then you have no business discussing any books.
Now see what I don't understand, okay, is I guess whatever these teachers are being caught on the internet secretly talking about some guys, we need to teach critical race theory. I guess they're all pretending. I guess what this lady is talking about right here, she's just making it up. She's not one of these folks that's pushing critical race theory at all. And what's really amazing to me is all of these white liberals who are constantly trying to defend young black kids because they're bringing up stuff like Band-Aids in the classroom that doesn't match our skin tone, because that's an important issue for black people. Bringing up Huckleberry Finn, things like that, because that's psychologically damaging for black kids. As if they know. This right here is more offensive coming from white liberals than it would be some old black dude sitting on the corner. Hey, boy, come here, let me talk to you. You know, I was born in 1947 when I couldn't use the bathroom with white people. See, you got it good these days. See, that's the person I would rather learn history from than this chick. But no, parents ain't got nothing to worry about.
So I just came out to my students.
Okay, why is she upset?
I've been wanting to do this for the past 2 years.
What'd she do?
I'm like so emotional. And I just haven't had the courage to do it.
She came out?
Out of fear of judgment, mostly from their parents. But I had these kids in 4th grade, and now I have them in 6th, and I'm sending them to middle school, and I love these kids so much, and I trust them, and they make me feel safe, and I know they love me, and it just felt right, and I did it, and it was so beautiful. They had so many questions, which I loved. They wanted to learn, and they wanted to learn about me, and they were so eager, and a few of them clapped, which was So precious.
I love going to school. Here hasn't been a problem. And
Wait a minute. Almost fell asleep on that one, man. It got so dreary and the music was soft and all of that stuff. So here's a teacher that thought, I guess it was okay and smart to get on the internet and tell everybody how this was such a beautiful moment to come out about her sexuality to her kids. And see, that's the problem with this progressive movement. You want to force it on everyone else and tell them to like it. You simply don't want to mind your own business. No one cares whether you're coming out. Keep that to your family. The kids are not your family members or friends. They're your students. They don't belong to you. They belong to their parents. And what they learn about sexuality and you coming out, that ain't got nothing to do with them. Don't be having your coming out parties in the classroom. And yet, you wonder why these parents are coming in there mad. According to the liberal media, they ain't got no reason to complain except for white nationalism. Oh, wait, here we go. We got another live one, y'all. Here we go.
I love my new school. My hair hasn't been a problem. And I taught a lesson last week where we read the first letter from the book Dear Martin. You know, the one where he realizes that he was arrested for no reason because he was black, even though he thought he was exempt because he wasn't one of those kinds of people who that happens to. But it turns out that doesn't matter because of the prejudice in the criminal justice system. And we discussed that. This lesson was developed by the English department and approved by the overseer of the English department.
So
imagine that, getting to talk about and discuss things relative to the students' lives, regardless of how some people might feel about it. Because the people who would be offended are the bad guys. It's just so refreshing for there to be some open-mindedness, to be able to teach something meaningful again.
Open-minded. Doesn't she seem so open-minded?
That's pretty funny. See, because you know what? This ignoramus right here is talking about teaching something relative to the students' lives. I'm pretty sure the students' lives that she's talking about are little black kids that she feels is underprivileged and all live in conditions where they're met with angry, white, systemic police officers that just pull them over for nothing. Yeah, that's relative to them. What about the black kid that's like, well, you know, my dad is LeBron James and I live out in Beverly Hills. So what? So what? You're privileged. You're still a victim. See, this is the stuff. This is the blind spot of all white liberals who jump out there virtue signaling, making themselves feel good on the inside, pretending and convincing themselves they are doing the right thing. They're fighting for justice. They're making a difference. And all they're doing is enabling and belittling black people and also using another form of racism, which is the racism of low expectations, the racism of assumptions, meaning this experience is right across the board. Every single black person is mad for nothing. Every single black kid walks around scared to death from the police just shooting them for no reason. But those parents have no reason to be upset.
My classroom is one of the gayest places probably on the planet. Everything is completely covered in rainbows. I've got flags everywhere. I've got queer literature because I want every student that I have to know that being queer is something that I am proud of, something that is not a secret in my life.
There you go. Y'all hear this person? All right, so now he got his whole classroom decorated like queerism. So now what if I say, you know what, my whole classroom is patriotic because I'm proud to be a patriot. I want everybody to know. I got flags everywhere. I'm telling you, I got pictures of AR-15s. I got a whole poster of the Constitution. That's right. Every morning we get up, we pledge allegiance to the flag, and we salute our troops because I believe in loving our country and patriotism. This same dude would have a complete conniption. But yet, these parents are tripping for nothing.
Something that I care about and something that connects me to other people. I'll end by saying that for me, being visibly queer is a non-negotiable. I introduced myself this year with my pronouns immediately. It was one of the first things that students learned about me. And I'm going to continue to gently correct 250 people every single day because my identity is a critical part of who I am. So if education is something that you want to pursue, I recommend being steadfast and being committed to being out as an educator if it's something that you feel safe doing. Unbelievable. It has a huge impact for students, and it's something that I've never regretted.
Critical race theory, which isn't real.
Let's start there. Critical race theory not taught in Virginia schools. And
you, clown, are a liar. Wipe that smirk off your face, you jackass, Joe Scarborough.
I love it, man. Did we have it, guys? We done went through and proved our case, I believe. One, the media is corrupt. 2, they lied about why these parents were upset and tried to demonize them. 3, they went and tattletale and it backfired. 4, it backfired so badly that they lost an election in a liberal state where it was their home turf. 5, they didn't learn from their mistake. Instead, they doubled down. 6, they didn't remove all the receipts off of the internet, showing that they're lying to us and that critical race theory is a real thing. And 7, apparently they've never watched this montage of all of these radical teachers in the classrooms indoctrinating all of these kids. Thus, they have learned nothing, which that's all I expected in the first place. For them to learn nothing, because see, it's not about learning for them. It's about the agenda. Just like my agenda is to destroy all the nonsense that comes out of their agenda. Now, God bless you. God bless America. We'll see y'all next time in Kevin's Corner, where I keep it real. Now, God bless y'all. Don't forget to hit that like button, share my videos. Also, don't forget to donate if you like Kevin's Corner. There are links in the bottom of this video. Check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. If you like the products, put Kevin in the promo code. You'll get a 20% discount. And what else? Oh, find me on Rumble in the Jungle. All right, God bless you all next time in Kevin's Corner. Take care.